Coach, sometimes it's too easy to watch a game and say that you got out hustled when you're not out there playing, but it looked that way a lot when you look at the rebound stats and offensive rebounds. Would that be your conclusion?
Well, I didn't see it coming, but we did. I mean, our last 2 days were really good. They were short, they were concise, they were aggressive. We've even backed them off the last couple of days because they've been so aggressive in practice. And that aggressiveness that we had against Ole Miss and Kentucky and in the last couple of days wasn't there at all. And the fact that we only had 4 deflections at half, we were getting beat off the dribble, and we just weren't physical enough. So I think a lot of it was the lack of physicality, which made it look like we were getting out hustled, and the lack of being down and being aggressive. So in answer to your question, yes, but it's also because we did not come with the physicality and fight that you've got to have to compete against anybody, let alone a team that's got the talent up front that Florida does.
Hey, Coach, when you talk about a team like Florida that has so many athletes and a size advantage, is it a case where you've almost got to play perfect basketball to be able to contend with that, or is there more you think y'all could have done?
No, I don't think so at all. I mean, we shot 54% for the game, 61% in the second half. I don't think you got to play perfect. I think you got to play physical, but you got to be active. And we were not nearly, even a 1-point game at half, I didn't think we were active enough at all. We had 4 deflections at half. So this is the most bewildering one to me of the year because of the way we practiced the last couple of days. We haven't had 2 back-to-back days. And again, they didn't leave it in the practice floor. We cut the practices short because they were so aggressive and locked in. But it just didn't transfer today. And I think the biggest thing we've got to learn is if we're relying on 1 or 2 people to lead us and be the emotional, verbal leaders of our team, well, we learned a very hard lesson about that today. There's a self-determination that you've got to make as an individual every time you play, that you're going to bring your best and you're going to be able to play through it and not rely on somebody else. And this was another one of those games that even when we were down, I didn't look back and say, okay, they really believe we're going to get this, and we don't beat Ole Miss without that. We don't beat Kentucky without that. And so if it's lack of maturity, whatever it is, lack of spirit, whatever it is, we didn't have that as much today. But I don't think you got to play perfect basketball by any stretch. You just have to be very aggressive. You have to be very active, and you have to be willing to hit and fight and hit first on the glass.
Okay, let's have Mark Weiser and then Jeff Schultz.
Tom, do you worry about the fight and spirit kind of, bleeding into the next game, or how do you stop it? I
don't know. We just got to get back to practice. No, we just did it a couple of days ago. So, I mean, no, I think it's just, we got to look at the lineups, and it was a little out of character for the lack of physicality for guys. But I think when you look at Tamani, PJ, and Andrew, and you look at the lack of rebounding in there, it starts right there. It starts right there. So, but again, a couple nights ago, we were extremely physical and aggressive on the glass. And so I think it's lack of consistency more than it is anything else.
Yeah, Tom, following that up with the lack of consistency, when you lose a player who, is your best player, obviously, and one of the best in the nation, and then you bring in so many new pieces, I know coaches generally like to stay away from this, but what should the expectations be that following season? And how good do you think this team could be?
I don't know. I don't have a good answer to that. I mean, we did a really good job the last few days in these games. And then today we didn't. And so it's different. We don't have a guy, obviously, like Anthony that can get those kind of baskets. We really don't have a guy like Ray Sean Hammonds that can get those kind of baskets. So it's got to be collective. It's got to be collective for us. Well, it's got to be collective on the defensive end too. And I think with 8 new players, certainly having KD adds to it. But I never think in terms of expectations. I think in terms of how we're going to improve. And we had been improving. We've been improving the last few days, and then we didn't show it today in the game.
Okay, let's have Andy Walsh and then Mike Griffith.
Hey, Coach. You guys are down 3 coming out of the half, and then 5 minutes in, it was a 16-point deficit. What sort of happened in those 5 minutes, and how hard did it make it thereafter?
Well, I think I covered it. We didn't come out with the same level of fight. It started getting beat off the dribble. We had a couple of turnovers with Ty Fagan. We get beat off the dribble. I got to change this lineup. When at some point, and just get some guys that are really going to bear down and say, okay, this starts with how we come down and get connected. You know, one of our big goals is to get 3 stops in a row to start a half, and to come out with that kind of mindset. And we didn't have that today. So that's what happened. And nobody took the bull by the horns to say, okay, I'm gonna lead the way and get us out of this. Not necessarily with scoring. I think sometimes average players think they're going to lead their way out. Well, I'm going to go get a basket. But most of the time it doesn't work that way. They've got to lead with impact. They've got to lead with defense, rebounding, and be that emotional leader that you need. And we didn't really have that, and they did. And I didn't like how we got our head down in this. I mean, we're trying to get guys that have not played together other than this year, you know, since the end of the summer, to understand how much they can affect one another. But I think we also have to learn that we can't wait for somebody to affect us. We've got to be able to put ourselves in position to be that one that impacts teammates.
Yeah, Coach, a couple things I want to ask you about. KD, kind of an uncharacteristically bad shooting day for him, but a slow start. And then Ned, is that a kid we might see more of? It looked like he was more productive in 5
Well,
minutes.
I think we're going to have to with Jonathan Ned. He's a spacer. He took open shots. He just hasn't been as physical as we needed him to be. And we knew that. And it's just been a little bit shorter. It's taken a little bit too long, but he can space the floor. He knows how to play the game. And I think we're going to have to, because Chris Brown has practiced just a little bit yesterday. I don't think he was comfortable to be in the game as much. KD got distracted early too. You know, KD played like a freshman that has just only played a couple of games today. And I know he did some things late, but that's where you need leadership to kind of help guide him through it. And today he was out there, you know, like he was stranded in the water himself, you know, with no life raft, because there was nobody really pulling it together to help. And uncharacteristic, no doubt about it, but something that we've got to get changed quickly.
In the last 2 questions, let's go with Ryan Curley and then Tori Heck.
Hey, Coach. I think it was 13 for 24 from the free throw line. Is that something that you guys have been working on in practice, or you're going to focus on more? I know that's not the first game where there were poor numbers from the line.
Yeah, that's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for the guys missing the free throws. It really is, because they're way better shooters than that. We went 17 and 19, I think, the other day against, or 15 to 17, whatever it was, against Ole Miss. We only shot 9 the other night, but we were 7 and 9. We just got to step up to the line and make free throws. This is college basketball. It's the SEC, and you just got to step up and knock them down. And I don't have a lot of sympathy for that, because again, it'd be different if they were poor shooters. They're not poor shooters. It's just get your breath, bear down, stay with it, reach up, get the self-talk right, and go up and knock it down. And yeah, that's I would hope no one would think that we don't work on free throws. I mean, I hope that would go without saying, but I know it doesn't look like it at times, but that's an embarrassment when we shoot that way. Not with the time we spend on it, not with the quality of the guys that are shooting the shots.
Thanks, Coach.
Coach, you mentioned having a really good couple of practices in the last 2 days, but leading up to this game, is there anything in particular besides the level of aggression in those practices that was looking promising to you?
No, they were locked in. Yeah, I can't put that. Everybody was locked in. It was, you never know if you're going to win the game, but to play with the lack of spirit and to play with the lack of aggressiveness in a game like this today, that didn't make sense. You know, that really didn't make sense. And they've got a really good program. Mike's built that program up. He's done a really good job with his recruiting. They're deep. He's had a chance to build it and get guys that can really play the style that he wants to play. And they've been there a little bit with it now. But that's no excuse. And we got to bear down and go. And we as much as we worked on things, we never took away what we wanted to take away. When it was the individuals off the dribble, whether it was the rebounding, we just weren't aggressive enough. And if you don't come to fight in this league, the other team usually does, and you're going to be behind it. And again, we still had numerous chances, but we didn't put any consistency together today, aggressiveness wise.
Thanks, Coach.
All right. Thanks so much, Coach.
Thank you.